Tree houses are supposed to be safe places, but when they're deep in the woods, far from anyone else, they can become something much more unsettling. Story 1. Hey everyone, it's me again. I promised you a real-life scare this week, so I'm taking you straight into the woods where I spent a night alone in a tree house that never should have been built. I arrived at dusk, the sky a bruised violet that seemed to swallow the forest whole. The treehouse was a rusted metal platform perched on a 30-foot oak, its plywood floor sagging like an old bed. I'd found it on a forgotten forum thread, the kind that promises the ultimate getaway for creators who need total isolation to film a Night in the Wild vlog. I set up my camera, a cheap GoPro I'd glued to the ceiling beam with duct tape. "Welcome to the treehouse," I whispered into the mic. "The only place where the world below can't see you." The camera's night vision glow washed the interior in an eerie green, turning the walls into a forest of shadows. The first hour was quiet. Crickets chirped, a distant owl hooted, and the wind whispered through the leaves. I laughed at my own nervousness, sipping instant coffee that tasted like burnt ash. Then I heard it, a soft rustle from the branch just outside the window. I turned, camera pointed, and saw nothing but the dark silhouette of the oak against the night sky. "Probably a squirrel," I muttered, but the camera's audio caught a faint, irregular thump, like a footstep, but not on the wooden floor. It was coming from below, from the forest floor. I frowned, leaning forward, trying to see through the slats. The trees beyond seemed to breathe, their trunks swaying in a rhythm that didn't match the wind. My live stream chat started spiking. "Did you hear that? What's below? Don't look down!" The comments were a river of panic that mirrored my own rising pulse. I tried to stay calm, telling myself the microphone just picked up a random branch falling. Yet the thumping grew louder, more deliberate, as if someone, or something, was stepping around the base of the oak, circling the tree with a slow, patient gait. I lifted the GoPro, aiming it down through the open hatch. The lens captured a blur of movement, a dark shape slipping between the trunks, its limbs elongated, almost too long to be human. It paused directly under the house, its head tilting up, eyes glinting like dull coins. I could feel its stare, a cold pressure against my skin, as if the creature was trying to see through the floorboards. My breath fogged the glass. I could hear a low, guttural hum, something like a chant, low and resonant, vibrating the very wood I was perched on. The forest seemed to close in, the trees leaning closer, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching toward the platform. I tried to speak, but my voice cracked. "Who's there?" I asked, more to the emptiness than to the thing below. The hum rose, now a chorus of whispers that seemed to come from every direction, leaves rustling, twigs snapping, the wind howling in a language I recognized from an old folk tale about the Watchers, spirits that guarded ancient groves and never tolerated trespassers. Suddenly, the platform shuddered. The oak's massive trunk groaned, and a splinter of wood cracked beneath my foot. I scrambled to the edge, my heart pounding like a drum. The camera slipped, tumbled down the stairs, and landed with a thud on the forest floor. The viewfinder showed a dark, endless sea of shadow, and then a pair of eyes, glowing faintly, reflecting the GoPro's infrared light. I heard a soft, almost affectionate sigh from the tree above, as if the forest itself were exhaling. My livestream chat exploded with static, the sound of my own breathing overlaid with the strange chant. The last thing I saw before the screen went black was the silhouette of the creature raising a hand, its fingers elongated, curling like claws, then retreating into the darkness, its movement echoing the rustle of leaves. I left the treehouse at sunrise, the platform empty, the camera gone, and a single, twisted branch hanging low over the ground. I never posted that night's footage. Some things are meant to stay hidden, watched only by the eyes that dare to look down. If you ever hear a thump from the forest floor while you're up high, remember, the trees are not just watching, they're waiting. Stay safe out there. Story 2. I set up my camera at the base of the pine-clad ridge and whispered, "Welcome back to the channel, folks. Tonight we're going up into the treehouse I built myself 3 weeks ago, right here in the middle of nowhere." The lens caught the flicker of my flashlight as I swung the rope ladder into view, the wooden platform bobbing like a frightened animal against the black canopy. The forest had been quiet for days, the kind of silence that makes your ears feel like they're sucking in the air. No birds, no insects, just the low hum of the wind threading through the needles. My own breath sounded too loud, echoing off the bark as I climbed. The higher I rose, the more the world below seemed to shrink into a dark tapestry of moss and twisted roots. When I reached the floor of the treehouse, I set the camera on a tripod and turned it toward me. The walls were plastered with hand-drawn maps of the surrounding woods, lines marking where I'd heard rustles at night. I laughed nervously. Just a little spot for a nighttime livestream. Let's see what's out there, shall we? I hit record. The first few minutes were me talking about the structure, the way the floorboards creaked under weight, the way the wind rattled the shutters. Then, about 10 minutes in, something shifted. It wasn't the usual sway of a lonely branch. It was a deliberate wobble, as though something heavy brushed against the trunk just below my platform. I froze, listening. A low, guttural rustle rose from the forest floor, too rhythmic to be wind. My eyes darted to the windows. Through the narrow slats, I could see the darkness moving, shapes, silhouettes, not the erratic dance of leaves, but a slow, purposeful glide. Branches bent inward, as if the forest itself were leaning toward me. My stomach churned. I whispered, "You guys seeing this?" The mic crackled, picking up a faint thud that seemed to come from directly beneath the floorboards. I knelt, pressing my ear to the wood. The thump repeated, a slow, deliberate beat, like a heart, like a footstep. I could feel the vibration through the grain. A cold draft slipped through the cracks, carrying a faint smell of damp earth and something metallic. The camera's night vision swirled, catching a glint. 2 small, amber eyes reflected back at me from the darkness below. They weren't animal eyes. They were too steady, too aware. A low, resonant hum rose, a chant of sorts, reverberating up the trunk, shaking the very nails in my palms. I tried to back away, but the ladder slid, sending a sharp clang echoing through the woods. My foot slipped, and I teetered on the edge of the platform. The eyes below blinked in unison, then all at once, a massive shadow surged upward, a tide of bark and moss, limbs and twine coiling around the rope, pulling at the wood. "Don't!" I tried to shout, but the words caught in my throat as a wet, gurgling sound rose from the forest floor, like someone, or something, was trying to speak through a flood of leaves. The camera captured it all. My frantic scramble, the shadow's tendrils wrapping around the rail, the sudden, crushing silence as the platform buckled. The last thing I saw before the lens shattered was the forest, now a sea of motion, branches twisting like fingers, the amber eyes peering from a mouth of darkness that opened and swallowed the light. The video ended abruptly, a static roar filling the last seconds. I never uploaded it. I never left the treehouse. And if you're watching this now, the sound you hear is not the wind. It's the heart of the forest, beating beneath you, waiting for the next viewer to climb up.